All right, so we've been talking about function flow, how we can use these functions as kind of a map, a kind of a checklist to make sure we're covering our blind spots, the functions, the human needs. What do you love? Have you done your market research? Have you organized it? Does it work for others? So the NE is a fun one. And those that have Save Your NE, oh, they love it, but they're also sick of it because they can't turn it off. All right, so using kind of a simple analogy of say you're starting a lemonade stand, you're trying to find a new relationship, you're trying to get over a cold, you're trying to organize your house, you're trying to figure out what college to go to, what job to go to, what you want to be when you grow up, you're starting a small business, you're doing coaching, whatever, right? You really got to narrow in, do you love it? FI, does it work for you? Have you figured out how to make it work for you? TI, have you done your market research? SE, has that market research then start to organize itself? SI, and now it gets kind of interesting of you now looking at the interesting and creative patterns between the relationships of this information. So NE is an observer, so you're not really judging anything here, you're not deciding anything, you're not forcing anything. You're just looking at the facts, the SE and the SI, assuming you've done your SE and your SI and you've got enough, right? You don't want to just NE when you don't have enough factual data. So you now want to start to look at and understand the conceptual processes between them. Okay, so what the hell does that mean? Say you're studying business, and business is easy because it's so black and white and objective and kind of, very practical. It's easier to see versus your abstract, subjective, weird, self-fulfilling fairy tale goals that you're trying to get done. So you're doing your market research on a business you want to get into, and you got to know that information so well that you get to the point to where you know what'll happen even before it happens. For example, say you've worked at a sandwich shop since you were a teenager. You have the experience, you know the numbers, you know the facts. So somebody could say, hey, what happens if Selma comes in and Barney's not there and it's raining outside and you're out of meatloaf? You're like, well, it's never actually happened before, but because I know all of those facts and all of those variables, I can paint a picture in my head of how that simulation would play out. And I can take a really good guess of what would happen, right? So keeping it simple, that's about it. You're getting to understand and know the subject at hand so well that you can start to tweak those variables in the abstract, in your imagination, and know with a pretty good prediction how things will turn out. Therefore, you can look at a subject like, oh, I want to get into coaching. I want to get into selling on eBay. I've done all the research. I have a little bit of experience. You now can start to answer questions of like, what do I sell? How do I sell it? What am I going to do a year from now? What happens if the competition comes in? How does this business model really work if it starts to break down? How do I fix it? What do I do if there's no answer book I can go to? You can jump over these little cracks in the information, over these facts, and your NE can start to figure out and piece together and make guesses and simulations on what to do. So using NE in a healthy way is going to come after you gather in those facts, you start to organize those facts, thoroughly understand the realities for what they are, then you start to see and understand the connections between them. You can then start to future project different scenarios. You can really own the information deeply and intuitively in any way, shape, or form. It really helps you have the confidence to know, look, you can throw a monkey wrench into my system, you can destroy half my facts, and I still know what's going on. I still know how to get around things. I still know how to jump over things because I know this information deeply beyond just a intellectual, factual knowledge. I actually understand the workings of it and the whys of it, and therefore I'm now free to be above the information and run these simulations. And then from there, now that you can see the whole board, both with the factuals and the abstract, your NI comes in and go, okay, I'm now going to pick one of these paths that I see that I like that's going to be best for me. I'm going to now zero in and I'm going to build and tunnel in on one of these abstract paths.